All right, this is the puzzle tournament style solution. What I usually do for players, basically under 1600. The problem with this one is I think this problem is actually one of the more difficult ones that they have had, and I don't know if hardly any 1600 players could get this right. Now the only way I think that a 1600 player gets this problem correct is because you retry it, trial and error, and eventually you'll get the sequence. So it's kind of difficult. You can take a look at it by pausing the video if you like to do it. It's kind of bizarre because you have to look at the problem a specific way, that basically if you're under 1600, and in some cases, even up to 2000 players, if they have not learned this technique or perspective of how to look at this problem correctly, they would fail to solve it as well. For myself, it took me, I don't know, it's hard to say specifically. I'm thinking a couple of minutes, could have been a minute, could have been 2.5. I don't know. If you put a timer to yourself when you're working on a medium problem or any chess problem, put a timer and then go and solve it without looking at the timer, and then when you're done, go look at your timer, and as you're not looking at it, try to think, how much time did it take me to figure this out? In chess, when you're doing these calculations, your time can warp. So you will think it was 30 seconds and it was more, or you'll think it was more and it was less. Just, it's hard to say. Everybody's different. But, this problem, we can go through my 4 keys for solving problems, which is checks, captures, piece contacts, and situation. Now, and to let you know, I invented this on my own. I'm trained in science and math. So this sequence that I come up with, this 4-part sequence, people have been doing this for centuries, obviously. But I, in my mind, ordered it and labeled it as it is. As a scientist, that's my training, and that's how I figure things out. And so that's how once I came about and perfected this 4-part technique, my personal records have just increased dramatically. So what do we have? Checks. We got queen. Queen takes the rook. Queen g2 check. That's it. There's no more checks. Captures, we could take the rook, take the queen, and that's also all. Piece contacts, there's things like you could play rook f8, rook e1, c5 would attack the bishop. That's the bet. Knight could move to f5 or e6. Okay. That's pretty basic stuff. Queen could move to f5, e4, d3, c2, b1, all down that diagonal and just contacting something. And then, the last one is the situation. Now, the situation will help you to give a general, sometimes clarification. Like, well, if we move our knight, we're in danger of being checkmated, or the victim of a checkmate attack with queen to h8. All right, that's a deadly move. If we move our queen away without checking him, queen takes g7 as mate. If we take his queen, queen captures queen, bishop takes queen, and our knight is dead because we cannot play rook e7. He just takes the rook. So we cannot alleviate the threat of checkmate or the threat of the rook takes queen. He's threatening to take our queen. That's part of the situation. So we cannot alleviate that threat by exchanging queens without losing also another knight. Because queen takes queen, bishop takes queen, king to f7, attacking the bishop. Bishop captures g7. And it's even. You're going to draw this game. All right? You're not losing. So I'm not saying, in the tournament game, if queen takes queen was the only thing you could play and you walk away with a draw, sometimes that's what you have to do, because it doesn't matter that you're winning if you don't see the win. This is an important lesson. You can be winning a chess game, but you just can't figure out how to win it, how to finish the job. And that is unfortunate, okay? It could be worse. So if you're like, I can't think of anything, man. Queen takes queen, bishop takes queen, king f7, bishop takes knight. It's all even. And this is a drawn position. His pawns are so shattered, and it's the bishops of opposite colors that if, reasonable play, this is a draw. Because after, he takes bishop takes knight, you can force the draw by playing rook to g8. And he's going to move his bishop, and then you're going to trade rooks, and it's really drawn. You're just going to park your king around f7 and put your bishop on c4 and, put your pawns on white squares, and you're goodbye Charlie. Okay? So it's really an easy position to draw. The challenge of this position is how to win it. And this is where it gets difficult. Like I said, normally these problems are for the 1600 and below. I'm trying to help these guys get stronger so they can move out and move up into other realms where they can try out more difficult problems. Whoops. If I just ramble on too long and don't move the mouse, it'll go dark. So no big deal. So that's what you're looking at there. It's like, so if you look at all these moves that we talked about, if you don't see what's going on here, that's not an insult. This is a difficult problem. And I'm not just saying that. You can check my other videos. I don't say things that I don't mean. I'm not here to coddle you or give you false praise. If you do well, raise your arms in victory because you earned it. If you do poorly, you need to know that you did poorly. We've all done it. Doing poorly and having someone give you false praise is just as bad and maybe worse than, whatever bad luck you had. The best thing you can do is play your best and be recognized that, win or lose, you played your best. There's nothing wrong with that. I've played a lot of tough tournament games against really good players. Some of them I won, some of those I lost. Hey, that's the game. You're out there playing. I was playing to win tournaments. I won some of those tournaments, a lot of them actually, and I didn't win a good number. Okay, so you can't win every tournament. No one can, not even Kasparov or Magnus or Bobby Fischer. No one can win every tournament unless you're playing chump tournaments. But okay, whatever. So do your best. Okay. And if you do your best and lose, I would be very proud of you, because if the only way you can do your best and win is to first do your best and lose at some point when you get to tougher competition. And that's how you get better, is by playing tough competition and playing them and losing, and then you play and win. Now, we still haven't gotten anywhere close to solving this. I'm just debating internally whether I should just do it and show you the solution, because it's not obvious at all. Like I said, one solution, actually, you would not get credit in this video, but I'm telling you this because of the situation that this game is in, and it's unlikely that you would be solving this successfully if you're under 1600, possibly under 1800, and even slim, but still possible under 2000 could fail to solve this problem because it's an oddball solution. And but then there will be some other guys, some guys who really are up and coming talented players who are maybe 1500, but they're 1500 on the way up, and so they're gaining momentum and power. They might be able to get this. A handful of these guys could do it. So I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm just saying that just because you don't have personal success in one problem does not make you a bad player. And because if you have one problem of success, that doesn't make you a great player either. Okay? It's the combination of your entire work. So, there's just no, it's, I don't know. I'm just, I keep trying not to just outright show you, but I think I have to outright show you because it's just a bizarre scenario. There's no way to give you a reasonable clue of what's going on here because it's a little more advanced than what I would think a 1600 player would ever have on his own. Now, once you're shown this problem, this is the thing. Once I show this to you, this is another one of those problems where I don't think you fail. If I don't think that failure to score the win, on the first move is a failure. It's like once you see the sequence that goes on here, you'll never forget it, and it will be with you forever. So I'm actually giving you a gift that will pay off in the future repeatedly. So I've been trying to come up with another way, and I think this is it. So if you don't want to see the solution yet, and pause the video and look at it yourself. If you don't get it, there's nothing wrong with that. Don't feel bad. Take a couple of minutes, whatever, go, okay, I told you it's an oddball solution. So if you come up with it, fantastic. Come and, finish the video to see and make sure you learn the entire sequence of why it's working. If you don't come up with it, don't worry about it. Once you see it, it will never go away. It's just, that's one of those things. This is one of those problems that once you see the solution, you'll go, oh, dude, this is awesome. Okay, so here it goes. Ready or not. So what happened is, this is a real bizarro one. Like I said, you couldn't take the queen, and he's threatening to take your queen with his rook, the jerk. So I did play around with the idea of, let's say, rook to e1 to try and deflect the rook away from taking the queen, which that fails miserably. Rook e1, he goes, rook takes free rook, I win. And he does. There's nothing you could do. I'm like, oh, killing me. Okay, I go, well, let me look at the most stupidest idea you can play. Well, not the most stupidest. The next, close to the stupidest. The most stupidest move you could play is like queen to g3, and he would just take you with the pawn, right? Okay, this is the move that crunches him. And you're like, what the heck is that for? It's because, like I said, when you see this, this is in the lexicon of chess tactics. This is a decoy sacrifice. Queen takes rook check is a decoy sacrifice. And so what we're going to do, this is an elaborate decoy sacrifice where we're going to force the king to a horrible square, and then we're going to kick his butt. But we gave up a queen to do it, so it better be right. All right, so now we check him. Because if you look, we check him, how many squares does he have that he can play and move? The answer is my favorite number. Well, my favorite number is 0, but 1 is is my other favorite number. If you see my other videos, you know this. All right, so great. Now, can we check him again? Yes, you can. Exactly. So we can check him again by either rook to g1 check, or do you see another check possibly? Anyone? I think somebody said it. I think I heard bishop to f1 check. This is the decoy. Now, take as much time as you need, pause the video or whatever. What would you play here as black? I'm pretty sure most of you do not need to pause the video. You're like, ooh, I got it. Yeah, I'm sure you do. But this is the thing. Like I said, this was an elaborate, basically a 3-move combination to force the king to a bad square. So now that you guys have all, I'm sure, played the right move, I'll just finish it off here. That is the whole concept. So, when you go back in this, what do you call it, at the beginning of this problem and work through this, you need to go through and really, question yourself, do you really understand each of these moves and what they're doing? And do that until the answer is yes. So like I said, this is what is known as a decoy sacrifice. It also can be called a deflection. You deflect him to go to a different square. But really, decoy is the best term. Doesn't matter what you call it. I'm just saying that if you've heard decoy move, this is a decoy. Well, that's what it is. We're forcing him to go to someplace, many times by checking him where he has to capture that piece. Like we made him capture the queen. So this was a decoy sacrifice combination. Normally the decoy sacrifice is a 1-move decoy, and then the rest of it, comes differently. This one was a decoy sacrifice, and then the rook check prods him forward, and the bishop check prods him forward again. So it was a very unique and very interesting problem. Like now you guys have seen why I say it's kind of super difficult. This is not obvious at all. Decoy, we're going to push him forward to a bad square and push him forward yet again. He only had 1 square each. And then finally, after 3 sequential moves, we got him. Goodbye queen, easy victory. He plays bishop takes knight, but it's over. He's toast. So, I was explaining all this other stuff, but I just figured this was the best way, and I had figured it out, that this was the best way, but I kept hoping that there was another way that I could give you, kind of clues and what have you. There just isn't any. Basically, this combination, you either see it or you don't. And it's not obvious, like I said, but the good news is, once you've seen this and you go through it several times, you'll have this power forever. So it's very valuable, which is why I decided to go ahead and instead of trying to do it the other way I can normally do, we discussed it, and I was trying to convince myself that this was the right way. So I wanted you to see this because now you have this knowledge. And it doesn't come up very often. But that's what you have, these bits of knowledge that you file away in your brain. And then in the future you're playing games and then you see positions and whatever. And it might be 2 weeks you might play a combination like this. It might be 20 years. I'm not joking. I've never played a combination like this ever in any of my games. I've played a lot of tournament games. Okay? I've never played this combination. But I understand because I've done studying in combinations, off and on for decades. You gain enough powers to where you could do this. And this is why scientists study their science, chemistry or physics or biology or whatever. These guys sometimes spend 3-4 decades, studying, and then they have the breakthrough. This is a chess problem breakthrough similar to like a science or an engineer or whatever comes up with a breakthrough. It's because you've done a lot. You do all the work. It's what I call swimming with the sharks. When you swim with the sharks, you become a shark. This is what I say. It's like in the early '90s. There was well in the '80s. It was like '83 or '84. They opened a guy. He was a successful attorney and chess player, a good player. He bought this terrible house, old house, not in the greatest condition. It was serviceable, in an not the greatest neighborhood, very bizarre, but. And he set up this place. It was a chess club. That's all it was. And it was called Houston Chess Studio. And it was around for about 2 decades, ballpark. But in the early '90s, we went there. My dad and I went there. Within a year or so of it opening, just to see it was a new place. We got the flyers at the University of Houston Chess Club. Not chess tournament, which they had every month. And we're like, okay, let's go. My dad was a chess junkie. Okay, like he goes, hey, you want to go to Chess Studio? He goes, yeah, let's go check it out. I'm like, okay. So we went there. I was like, man, that was a den of sharks. Okay, the sharks were there, man. That was where that became the place, literally, for as long as it was open. The biggest boys in town played at the Chess Studio. And that was kind of its deal. It was like, you go there, you go, oh my God, dude, you're there, it was like 2,000 plus, 2,080 or whatever it was. And I'm like, I'm a chump over here. I was a 2,080 whatever chump. Because I was one of the bottom guys. It was like, oh man, it was depressing. I was like, okay, whatever. I'm like, my dad is like, no, this is not good, because my dad's like 1,500. I like, okay, so we just goofed around. I was like, this is the den of lions, right? Okay, we got like, I don't know about that. But, so I was doing good. And then, in the '90s, I was, just, eking up a little strong. I got over 2,100. And I was like, you know what? It's time to go go swim with the sharks. So I went to swim with the sharks at the Chess Studio. And I went there, and I took beatings. And I took more beatings. And then I started giving beatings. Because if you want to be a shark, you got to swim with the sharks. Okay? I could have been a shark on my own by just becoming a monk, holing up in my room and studying chess, but I don't do that. That's not me, man. I was never going to do that ever. I'm like, screw that. Never going to do it. But I needed the push from sharks to do some of that. So I went, I became a shark. And I went there and I was kicking butt. Enough. Making progress, getting better, getting stronger. That was the thing, that if you want to be a shark, at some point, you've got to go and stop being a big fish in a small pond, and you've got to be a small fish in the ocean with the sharks. And that's the only way you'll ever be a shark. Now, everybody's different. But that's what I'm saying, is I wanted to show you this. This is really, this is the product of becoming a shark. Because like I said, this is not something that's common. Every strong player over 2,000 would be able to solve this problem, no big deal. Because, they're sharks. When you get to 2,000, you're a shark. All right? You're a small shark, but you're a shark. And that's the thing. So if you want to be a shark, at some point you have to recognize, you got to have fun, man. I do these videos, this is fun. And I get to help people, and it's fun. It'd be more fun if I got to hear back from these people, oh man, I saw your video, it was, great, whatever. It hasn't happened yet. I'm sure it'll happen in the future, but, I know that I'm helping, because I've helped students in the past, and they became good players. My record of making guys good players is very good. So I've done it before, and I know what it's like. It's great. So I wanted to show you this and give you this idea of how to be a shark. At some point in the future, you could be 15, 16, 17, 1800. You're going to have to step up and go play some tougher guys and take the beatings. You know, you got to go. You never are going to beat a 2000 player until you play them. And eventually you'll beat one. The first one. Like, it was a very long time. Well, technically it wasn't, actually. Well, I got to tell you this story. It's like, oh man. The first master I ever beat, I didn't beat him. He ran out of time. Hey, it counts, all right? That's not my problem. That's his problem. So when I say the first master I ever beat was I beat him on the board, okay? That took a long time because masters aren't masters because they're bad players. They're good players, man. So it's just one of those things that the first 2000 player you beat, it's a big deal because you know that when you've beaten a shark, when you beat the shark, you know you're a player, okay? That's what I'm saying. And so my videos are here to make you into a player. So that's the thing. So like I said, on this problem, it's real bizarre. Go through it time and again until you understand what we're doing here. Then maybe come back the next day, run through the, come to the video, see the problem, and pause it and do it what we do tournament style. In your head, don't do what I'm doing here, all right? Don't do this. Go back to this position at the very beginning. Pause the video and go, all right, here's how it goes. I want you to practice being me and describing what you're going to do as black to finish this off the next day. This will help you test how well you learned it. And if you pass the test, great. If not, do it again. Come back the next day. So keep doing this until you get it. You need to be able to explain this. Hey, tell your mom or your dad or your brother or your sister, aunt, uncle, grandparents, friends. It doesn't matter. Tell somebody, hey, look at this problem that I know how to solve. And they're going to go, you can solve this? You're like, of course. You're a junior shark, okay? That's the thing. So follow this advice, come back and do this again and explain it, be able to explain it to yourself in your brain without moving pieces. That's the real test. So you guys know what to do, and I'll talk to you later.